Welcome to episode 3 of Zurich Talks, Risk to Resilience, a series that tracks Zurich sustainability engagements globally, connecting our leaders with external experts to examine how the evolving risk landscape is changing and how we're building resilience in response. We're really excited to be convening graduates from across the insurance value chain, from brokers, reinsurers, and also underwriters to examine the needs of future leaders and how we can connect to some of the global issues that we face. I would like to welcome Gurga, who is the Director General of the Association for British Insurers. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you, Pauline. I'm absolutely delighted to be here, and with this group in particular, because you are the future leaders and you have joined our industry at a time when the big strategic questions are still open, and you're going to be the people shaping the answers. So it's a real pleasure to be here.
But maybe you can just tell us a little bit about your role and what the ABI does, just to kick things off.
So the ABI was set up 40 years ago, and we represent the insurance sector in our engagement with government and other stakeholders in the UK. And we're quite unique when it comes to trade bodies representing the insurance sector, because typically the trade associations will either cover general insurance or they'll cover life insurance, and we cover the whole spectrum, which means I have a lot of lobbying issues to cover, ranging from health and protection, retirement, through to flood, motor, all sorts of issues. But we have about 300 members across the association. Many of them are headquartered overseas, like Zurich, but we also have a number that are UK domiciled. So we're the Association of British Insurers, but my members always make sure to point out to me that we're more than just British insurers.
Yes,
as well.
Exactly. Global risks. I think
exactly.
It makes sense. But what do you see as the biggest challenge facing the industry today?
What do I see as the biggest challenge? I think the challenge is also the opportunity. So I think insurance matters more today than it ever has. Traditionally, people think about insurance when it comes to paying claims, so after the event. And that obviously remains fundamental. But increasingly, in my interaction with our political and regulatory stakeholders, as well as with consumer groups, the expectations of our industry are changing. There is an expectation that we're also there to help before the risk crystallises. And we see that particularly when it comes to something like climate risk. So in a UK context, climate risk is often around flooding. And while the response to a flood event is critical, we're seeing more efforts to have us involved in preparedness, prevention, resilience. So that's, I think, an opportunity for the industry, because it's the way in which we can add more value to the customers.
You know, we play an absolute central role in understanding risk and supporting society to understand risk. How do you see that role changing? I mean, you just alluded to the fact that, you know, advisory services potentially, you know, the risk landscape's changing, but as an insurance industry, we're developing new tools. But, you know, how do you see that role changing with the increasing pressures coming from climate, AI, all the way to inflation?
Well, I think there's a broader range of risks that we're going to need to be able to underwrite and cover. So that means we'll need to build the expertise across new and emerging disciplines. Again, I think that's a real opportunity for all of you in this room as you're looking ahead. What can you do in the future to make a difference? We're also in an industry that's not standing still. I think sometimes there can be a perception that the insurance industry is a little bit traditional, a little bit boring.
I think we get quoted as not first movers but speedy followers. I think that's
okay. I think that's a characterization that I would recognise. But the industry is moving. We are seeing early adoption of new technology. We're seeing that already beginning to change that distribution model. Where's that going to go in the future?
But as our role evolves, you know, what does this mean for the type of talent that industry needs? Where are you seeing the biggest shifts in skills? Is it in AI? Is it in claims?
I think we need a much broader range of skills than people might assume. So technology is going to transform our ways of working, but we don't yet know precisely how it's going to shift. And actually, there's a real question around some of the economics about use of AI, that the cost now of ChatGPT or Claude is increasing. So in fact, humans might be a bit cheaper. So I think we might see a little bit of rebalancing over time in areas where some organisations have looked to make their investment. But we're always going to need people who can adapt. That's going to be key, I think. So that's more a mindset rather than a particular skill and expertise. But we're going to need people who are interested in learning about cyber risk. That's a growing threat. There's a big opportunity for our industry to do a lot more to help businesses prepare and defend against that kind of a risk. So there's also a need for people like myself who've got experience of engaging with political and regulatory stakeholders, and the confidence to also be able to work across disciplines, because businesses like the ones you are in are typically very large, and you're going to have to navigate across different divisions, different business areas in order to join up dots and help move things forward. So I think it's a growth mindset is what's really necessary, and a willingness to be curious and learn more about new technologies, new risks, so that you're able to think ahead and reflect on what do the customers of tomorrow need from the industry.
Yeah. How can the insurance industry better articulate our role and why we matter?
I feel as an industry, we have a very strong story to tell. We need to do a better job of telling that story. Most people, I believe, want to have purpose in what they do. Yes, we need to earn a salary, but fundamentally, we also want to feel that what we're doing is contributing to something, it's making a difference. Our industry has purpose at its heart, and I know from talking to the chief execs of our membership that they really do care about their societal purpose. So we need to do a better job of communicating that to make people understand how this industry underpins everyday life. Without our industry, people would struggle to run their business, to own a home, to be able to retire with a decent standard of living. These are the sorts of messages we need to be able to communicate. I think that's how we can compete for talent when we are looking at, particularly when it comes to technology and digital skills. We are competing against the Amazons and other big tech firms. We've got to have something else that really makes it compelling, but I think it's about our purpose.
Maybe it's a call to more communicators to join the insurance industry too.
Well, I would also say to a room full of graduates, don't underestimate the power of storytelling. If I think about my career, and I only joined the insurance industry 4 years ago, so I was a very late entrant.
What made you join as well?
Actually, because I really care about what the industry does.
Okay.
I think the role that the insurance sector plays in supporting the economy and helping people, families, businesses, not just in the UK but globally, is incredibly important, and I'm very passionate about communicating that to people. I think it really matters, and I get a little bit frustrated when in my role, I'm usually there with the banking industry, and I think we matter as much as banking. So that's my personal mission, is to make sure that our stakeholders recognise that we are as important as banking, because without insurance, nothing would happen. Exactly right. And maybe, you've obviously had a plethora of different experiences in your career, but you've ended up now in insurance. Is there a lesson that you could share with our graduates, something that you've learned along the way that you could pass on some wisdom to? Yes. I wouldn't overcomplicate it at your stage. Most organisations are looking for people who they can depend on. That means if you say you're going to do something, you do it, and you do it on time. They want people who are curious, who ask questions. Focus on the fundamentals, get the basics right. I think there can be a temptation to think, I'm going to focus on the hot topic, whatever that hot topic might be. So I'm going to focus on cyber, I'm going to focus on climate. And yes, there can be opportunities in areas where there are new developments or the industry is perhaps under pressure. But I would suggest focus on the fundamentals, learn your craft, do your job well, earn trust by delivering what you say you're going to deliver. And when you've got that foundation, that's when the opportunities will arise. That's what I found through my career. Mm-hmm. I've had all kinds of interesting opportunities.
Well, thank you so much, Hannah. I think I speak for the graduates. That was very insightful, and we really, really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Pauline, and great to be with all of you.